small details that you missed from the Harry Potter movies. You've likely read the Harry Potter books, or maybe you haven't, and all you've seen from the franchise is the movies. Either way, you know that the Harry Potter series is one of the best that there is, and this isn't just me speaking from experience, this is from actual facts. Do you think that you have seen every single tiny detail there is to see from the films? If the answer is no, then today's video is definitely for you, because today we're going to be going over 10 small details you missed from the Harry Potter movies. If you do enjoy, please leave a like and consider subscribing, because if you do, you could get a shout out. But let's go ahead and get right into it.
Expecto Patronum!
Number 1. During Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, if you pay close attention to when Ron and Harry are inside of Gilderoy Lockhart's classroom, you can see a wig on his desk, which would suggest that the professor is actually bald. This is basically the only time we learn the true nature of Lockhart's baldness, but you wouldn't have noticed unless you were paying close attention because it isn't exactly the most striking part of the scene.
I'll ask you three to just nip the rest of them back into their cage.
Number 2. This next detail you probably didn't notice unless you have an extremely keen eye, because it's not exactly very obvious. When watching the movies, did you notice during the Philosopher's Stone, when Harry and Hagrid got closer to the leaky cauldron, the sign reveals itself? At first, the sign is completely black and it has no writing on it, but once a wizard approaches the sign, it reveals the text Leaky Cauldron, which is pretty clever security if you ask me. The sign is pretty magical and knows when there's a wizard around that this is the only time it will reveal its true self.
Just helping young Harry here buy school supplies.
Yes, my soul. It's Harry Potter.
Number 3. During the Philosopher's Stone, there's a scene where Ron and Harry are playing a game of wizard's chess, and it's in this moment where we realize that Ron is actually really good at this game. Within this particular game, the Queen captures the opposite knight. Keep that in mind. If you were paying attention during the scene later on where Harry, Ron, and Hermione have to play a life-size game of wizard's chess, you would have seen that Ron, playing as a knight, sacrifices himself to the opposite queen. This is exactly the same scenario that happened in the earlier game that Harry and Ron played. So for sure this game was foreshadowing what was going to happen later on.
That's totally barbaric.
That's wizard's chess.
Number 4. During the scene where Hermione arrives late to the divination class during the Prisoner of Azkaban, you can actually see her hide her time turner inside of her cloak. You can see it around her neck, but you probably wouldn't have thought anything of it watching this the first time around. Obviously, this is well before Harry and Ron, and even us as the audience, know that she has such a thing on her. Later on, we find out that she was given a time turner in order to get to classes quicker, etc., and it's just crazy that we actually get a sighting of this, but we didn't realize what it was.
What just happened? Where's Ron?
Number 5. This probably isn't something that you were focused on, but did you ever realize that Harry Potter, the Boy Who Lived, actually didn't cast a single spell during the whole first movie? If you don't believe me, go back and watch it. You won't see him cast a single spell, which is fine and everything, but he's known as the Boy Who Lived, so it would have been nice to see him use some of his awesome powers early on. But he just doesn't use them.
Do something!
Number 6. This next detail isn't technically a secret, it's just a mistake with filming that you likely didn't notice. During Harry's first time traveling on the Hogwarts Express, he meets Ron and he's pretty excited to meet Harry Potter. The pair are talking and we can see Ron's hair is parted down the middle, but in an instant, the parting in his hair changes magically from the middle to the side. This is for sure just a mistake, but it adds to the magic, doesn't it?
I'm Ron, by the way. Ron Weasley. I'm Harry Potter.
Number 7. Next, we have a pretty hilarious detail that you might not have seen, and it's from the Quidditch World Cup scene. You can briefly see Dobby, who at this point is a free elf, riding on a llama, and all the excitement that's going on, and it's kind of funny. But it also shows us that the elf is now happily living his life being free. After all, he can now do whatever he wants, and he's definitely doing that.
Dobby is free.
Number 8. During the final shot for the last movie, you can see that Harry's scar, which doesn't affect him anymore, has almost faded away completely. It does make sense seeing as though Harry is a lot older in the scene and scars don't always stay prominent for a long time. And there's also the fact that Voldemort is now, of course, dead, and the scar is also magical. So it's not just any old scar. Maybe you saw this, maybe you didn't, but either way, you now know about this small detail.
If it really means that much to you, you can choose Gryffindor. The Sorting Hat takes your choice into account.
Number 9. During the Chamber of Secrets, when Professor Lockhart tries to run away from Hogwarts after he's been found out to be a fraud, he actually takes all of his paintings along with him as well. His classroom used to be full of paintings of all different size, but they're all gone, and all that is left that you can see is the frames and the easels that they were on, left behind exactly where they were, are now just empty.
Hello.
Number 10. And last but not least, we have the fact that Shirley Henderson, the actress who played Moaning Myrtle, the 14-year-old witch that becomes a ghost when she dies, was actually a 37-year-old woman at the time of filming. I understand that the Harry Potter series is all about magic, but what kind of sorcery was used to make this 37-year-old woman look as if she was not a day older than 14 years old? That, to me, is absolutely insane.
I don't know. I didn't see them. I was just sitting in the U-bend thinking about death. And it fell through the top of my head.
But there we have it. 10 small details you missed from the Harry Potter movies. If you did enjoy, please leave a like and consider subscribing. But with that being said, we will see you in the next one.